Good evening, big welcome down to the Mariners. Oh, it's a nice warm welcome. So, question and answer session. This is the latest installation. First of all, just apologies for Jeff, who can't make it tonight. He's had some family trouble, but more to the point, we're going to do some question and answers with Lee Graham, who've kindly given up that time to take your questions. So, first of all, does anybody have any questions? We're going to do it on the floor. All you've got to do is stick your hand in the air and we'll come to you as and when we can. Oh, well, that's good. Thanks for your time. Good night. Alright, the first question, we'll start with my name. That's a long question.
I apologise for this because it's a little bit of a touchy-feely one, but I'm sure it probably reflects a lot of what I was thinking. The success of Project EFL will raise our profile. We'll be a much bigger blip on the football radar. In fact, we'll be a much bigger club. What worries me, and I know I'm not the only one who feels that way, is that bigger clubs tend to lose their connect with the fans. Now, anybody who is, like me, one of the big two clubs in the area, I'm not going to say which one, who's come across here and it's felt like a breath of fresh air, will know exactly what I mean. And I would hate to see what we have now. The family atmosphere, the friendliness, the closeness between the fans, the team and the club, the whole ethos and character, in fact, to evaporate. Now, in fact, if you could bottle what we've had for the last 3 years, you'd make a fortune, because you wouldn't need another revenue stream. And that's what I'm worried about. Is there an answer to that? There probably is. It's probably a rhetorical question. I just want to know what your view is.
Well, first of all, Terry, I completely concur with everything that you said. And I'm sure everybody else in the room fully agrees the sentiment behind the question. For me, that's right at the heart of why I feel that this football club's special. The fact that, you know, we have developed a real strong connection between the fan base and the players, the staff off the pitch as well, and brought together different elements of the community that would never have touched each other, you know, for want of a better phrase. Otherwise, and I think what I can say is that having had, you know, both myself and Graham having had many discussions with Jeff and you know, I guess the key decision makers at the club, that is right at the heart of everything that Jeff wants to keep moving forward. He understands how important that is. If you ask him what his motivations were when he first took over the club, they were centered around those things that you talked about, Terry, about you know, bringing the community together and, you know, really trying to touch people's lives. And I think you're absolutely right to bring that question to the forefront, because it's so important. And I agree with you that we keep that at the forefront of all of our thinking moving forwards. Do I think that's possible for a club to grow and continue that? I absolutely 100% believe that is possible. And I believe that we can do that as a football club. I talked about a few things in this room on Thursday when Jeff launched the whole Project EFL thing. And I said that my kind of words around why I came to the football club in the first place and how it makes me feel personally, and it touches on many of the things that you've asked in that question. And I think this is a great club. I really do. I'm not just saying that because I'm here. Myself and Graham have both been in lots of different football environments, and what I recalled and spoke to everybody about on Thursday was the best moments for me, the moments that made me feel most proud were things like the South Tyneside Festival, when you couldn't help but feel and see just how much it means to everybody in the community, what this football club has brought, so how much happiness this has brought to so many people. And then you look at the whole Wembley experience that we had as well, which was just absolutely incredible. Just thinking about it now again, kind of just brings, you know, stands your hairs on end, just walking out that tunnel and seeing, you know, that massive claret and blue on the opposite side of the stadium, you know, nearly 15,000 people from South Tyneside, and you're right, it has to be absolutely, and I know it will be. It'll be right at the heart. Those kind of elements will be right at the heart of everything that we do moving forward.
Good evening, everyone. I just think that you touch on the two big clubs in our area. I think a lot of big clubs are missing out on this. The kind of connection between staff, players, and supporters. You know, you sometimes see players turning up and staff turning up to big games, so to speak, Premier League, and there's no connection whatsoever with the supporters. We've got to make sure as a football club that doesn't happen here, and we'll be trying our best to make sure it's not. But we're going to be doing these meetings regularly. If anybody ever thinks that the club are going wrong, missing out, and all it takes is just to point out, and we'll try and put it right. But we'll be trying our best as a football club to make sure that this connection between supporters and people at the club stays intact.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, what plans do you have for the development of the ground?
That was probably one for Jeff. We're currently kind of in a lot of discussions at the moment, in which we obviously everybody knows that Jeff's purchased the land across the road there. And at the moment it's kind of like a blank canvas, so to speak. We have to make sure that through the discussions we get whatever it is that's put up at the football ground right. Whether that's in stages, whether the club can raise enough funds to do something, well, it will be special, whatever it is that goes up to start off with, but then progress over the years and hopefully as we progress up through the leagues and revenues get higher, then we can maybe add on and things like that. So we're just going through the discussions at the moment. So I think that question is quite open at the minute. There's no real answer to it.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Is it still the ambition to have a beanbag type thing going on here for some of the away games? That was referenced at the last one. I don't know if it's progressed or if it's still an idea that the club are looking at for people who can't make the away game.
I'm just getting a shake of the head from Dan Prince.
It's against the league rules, unfortunately, so we're not allowed to.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Recent injuries out, unfortunately, are you up to bring any more players in or bring from the academy, and also the goalkeeper as well as
Yeah, so the last couple of weeks have been particularly testing. I'm sure you can all kind of understand where I'm coming from. I think it's the first real time where both myself and Graham have felt like, you hear people refer to the footballing gods at times, but I think it's the first time I've certainly felt like the footballing gods have really been against us over the last couple of weeks. To have 5 centre forwards or forward players unavailable at any one time, I don't care how deep your squad is, how good your squad is. That's going to affect any team in the world. So when the last people, I hope you all know this, whether you know us very well or not, from what we've said and done up until this point, I hope you all know this, that we're the last people that will look for excuses, that will blame other things. We'll always look at ourselves first before anything else. And on that note, there's things that me and Graham have reflected on, this season already, that we look back and think, have we done the right thing? Can we improve that moving forwards? Can we make sure we don't make the same mistake again? And I can assure you that will always be our mindset. No matter however long we are at this football club for, we will always, first and foremost, be accountable for our actions as managers. But to go back to your point, We haven't got any plans to bring any other players in at the moment. We've got those players that I talked about. Obviously, Gavin Cochrane is going to be out for probably another couple of weeks. But Carl Finnegan, as you've seen, obviously, has come back to us now. David Foley's starting to find a little bit more fitness and a bit of form. He had a groin issue last week. Josh Gillies is obviously now, getting close to full fitness. Lee Mason, again, I don't know what you all think, but I thought Lee Mason was absolutely outstanding on Saturday. And I'm not going to refer to things that may or may not have happened, in the other games, but I think the way Lee went at the game on Saturday, people have got to remember he hasn't played, he's missed his whole pre-season, he hasn't played since April, and if anybody with a remotely long memory will remember that, in that month of April and the back end of March, for us, he was one of our best, most outstanding performers, and I think he again justified why we brought him to the football club in the first place with his performance on Saturday. And then obviously Ben Harmison as well. Again, you just cannot legislate as managers, coaches. You cannot legislate for somebody getting injured in a half-time warm-up. Away to Staley Bridge. Ben's went and rolled his ankle in the opposition goal mouth. Kicking the ball about at half-time, and that effectively put him out for the best part of a month. So, to answer your question, we haven't got any plans to bring anybody in. We feel like players are coming back now. On the goalkeeping front, we've got Dan Lister, who's now 19 years of age, and we feel like Dan's got a real bright future. Obviously, Liam Connell's the #1 goalkeeper at this moment in time at the football club, and we feel like Dan's a really capable understudy. So, no plans at the minute.
How was the interview with regards to Cameron? Is that any better? Sorry,
So hopefully Callum will be back training around about Christmas time. So it's just, the same kind of operation that Tiger Woods had when he had his back problems. So he's had a fusion of his spine, so it takes a while. We obviously have to see how he reacts. I mean, the great thing about Anthony is you're probably all aware, he looks after himself exceptionally well. So if there's anybody who's going to come back from this as quick as possible, it'll be Callum.
So you just lose his speed.
Yeah, I know.
I was talking about what he's done all the time, so his hair's not a big
Has Robert Biggs stopped talking about his wonder goal on Saturday? He's been quite vocal on social media.
Yeah, to be fair, if I scored a word, I wouldn't want to stop talking about it. No, look, again, I think if we're going to talk about Robbie specifically, I think again what we've got, which is absolutely brilliant with the group of players that we have at this football club, is that we have honesty. So we're always honest with the players, we're honest with ourselves, but the players are always honest with themselves as well and with each other. And I think you can't undervalue that. It's absolutely crucial that you have an environment where people can be honest with themselves and with each other. And Robbie will be the first person to put his hand up and say that against his own very high standards that he's set, up until this season in this football club, that he's maybe slightly underperformed compared to where he's been the last couple of seasons. But I think, again, we picked up Lee Mason earlier on for Saturday's performance. I thought Robbie Briggs was absolutely outstanding on Saturday, and hopefully that's, I'm really confident that that's a really positive sign for things ahead with us and with Robbie.
Question online, the bill?
If the club did go up this season, how long do you think would be feasible before the club go full time?
Well, I think that what we have to get right first is the grounding, the ground here. So if we can get the discussions right and put something in place over maybe the next 2 to 3 years, I think that'll probably be the time frame we're looking at. As you well know, there's not kind of lots and lots of vantage points here at Mariners at the moment. So yeah, we probably feel like we need to support a crowd of on average of around about 2,500 people to make that feasible to go to a full-time model. So obviously we have to have the vantage points to be able to do that for people coming through the gate, get a real match experience, not just standing on the side of the pitch, but actually having a little bit of height in the viewing, and also all the things alongside that as well. But yeah, we're probably looking at around about a 2 to 3 year period after this season.
I think I read somewhere once you probably take over £1 million. Will you just cover a full-time club and see that on the board park and that?
I think that's.
Obviously, not including the managers.
I think it's like anything. Well, look at Gateshead down the road. They're not spending anywhere near, but it's how you want to do things. And I just want to kind of add to the points Graham made. I think what's absolutely crucial, and maybe myself and Jeff, if he was here, would be having a little debate about this right now. But I personally feel it's absolutely crucial that we have a little bit of patience with everything. I think it's been such an unbelievable rise over the last 3 years, and I'm in no way, shape or form here trying to create any kind of managerial safety net, so to speak, with what I'm about to say, but I just feel it's crucial that we get things right, rather than, and I know the kind of guy that Jeff is, and a lot of you will spend a bit of time with as well. He wants to, he wants to get there, he wants to get there fast, and trust me, so do I, so does Graham, and I'm sure so does everybody in this group, but we've got to be realistic first and foremost about how much time and work that realistically takes. So if you look at the example that we've used in many conversations we've had is if you take a template like Fleetwood Town Football Club, for example, okay, I mean they had an absolutely phenomenal rise, from the Northwest County, so Northern League equivalent, through to League One, where their road to the Football League was essentially 6 promotions, and I think it was 12 seasons. Which, if you'd spoken to any Fleetwood Town fan at the beginning of that season number 1 and said in 12 seasons' time they'll be in the Football League, I think every single fan would have told you were dreaming, and they would have snapped your hand off with you. And I think I would repeat the same point to our fans. If you'd said 3 years ago that in 12 years' time you're going to be in the Football League, well, if you'd said that to Gary Crutwell and Bob Scott and the likes of, they would have told you that you were insane. Because we all know where this football club was 3 years ago. So if you said in 12 years' time you'd be, able to be in the Football League, we would have said you're absolutely mad. We're 3 years in, and we're kind of on paper, in inverted commas, halfway there. We've achieved 3 promotions. These next 3, and again, I'm not trying to create that safety net I talked about, but the next 3 are going to be a lot tougher. Very, very tough. You're talking about some massive football clubs. You're talking about lots and lots of football clubs that have got their own project at EFL. That have been there within the foreseeable past. Within the last few years, they've been Football League clubs themselves. We have no God-given right whatsoever to have anything. We've had a fantastic run up until this point, and we're going to try our utmost, along with Jeff and everybody, Gary Crutwell and Bob and everybody else here at this football club, and Dan and Darren. We're going to try our utmost best to go as high as we can, as fast as we can, but not at any cost though. Not without losing our core values that Terry touched upon before, the things that make the club special in the first place. We should never sacrifice those in the pursuit of getting to the holy grail, if you like, of the Football League. And I think we've got to be careful that we don't generate and foster an unrealistic sense of entitlement here at the football club, where we feel like, we're Southfields and we deserve this. We deserve to walk all over all the teams that we play against. I just think that's disrespectful, first and foremost, and I think it's completely unrealistic. then we need to have a reality check at times as to and almost focus on. I think we get frustrated at times, particularly after what's happened over the last couple of weeks, that there seems to be a loss of focus at times from, and again, it's just some people, okay, on what the huge positives are of this football club. And then we tend to focus on what the negatives might be. And I think we've got to be careful that we don't develop what I call a spoiled brat syndrome, where we're just so used to having it all our own way for so long and that we can't handle the fact when things don't quite go our way. It's absolutely inevitable on the journey that we are on, that things at times will not go our own way. And I think it's really, really important that we keep a realistic sense of perspective on where we are and where we come from.
Question over there.
Can I just ask, how surprised were you as individuals when Julio Walker resigned almost overnight? Was there any reason behind it? Was it a private person?
No, Julio kind of intimated a few months before the end of the season he was feeling tired. I think towards the end of the season there was obviously a lot of games. And Lee talks about honesty. Julio's about as honest a person as you're ever going to get. And he did say to us when he signed the contract in the previous summer that if he felt that he couldn't get out there and do the job for the team, that he would come to us and say, look, I think I'm done. He was honest enough to do that. He felt tired. And I think it was just another season where it was almost like this is going to be a hole, if you like, and I don't think Julio wanted to do that. He enjoyed his spell here fantastically well, and I think he wanted to go out on a high, and everyone will remember him really, really fondly. And we've got huge, massive respect for Julio. We're talking about Julio again. We're meeting today to see if there's anything that we can kind of put in place where he's got some sort of role at the club. We're just going to ask Julio, have a meeting with him and see if there's anything we can do. And hopefully we can get him on board to do some role in and around the club.
I think it's just a shame we get to see a goodbye kind of thing. We make a testimonial with us.
We wanted to do that. I don't want to say too much out of respect for Julio, but we wanted to do that for those reasons. For Julio, because we felt for everything that he'd done for the club, he deserved that moment, if you like, where the fans could collectively show their appreciation. That's something that Julio kind of didn't want to do, and I think that's almost a measure of the man as well. He's a very, very private person. He's also he's a very, very strong family man, and I think that was right at the heart of his decision to call it a day. He's got a young family, he's got 2 young boys, and I think whether a lot of people realise it or not, the sacrifices that the players make in order to kind of fulfil their duties here at the football club are actually enormous. We set off for Buxton at 2:45 on Tuesday. We didn't get the ground till 7:15 because the bus driver got lost, but that's another story. to then playing a really tough game, travelling 4.5 hours on the bus to try and then get half an hour to try and get prepared for a really tough away game. To then get back on the bus, then get back home for 2 o'clock, 2:15 in the morning, and then you've got work, and some people have got young families. I'm praying for sleep at the minute with my little one. Phil Turnbull's just had a little one, Darren Loft's just had a little one. It's a and look, I'm not saying it to kind of court sympathy or anything like that, because we love what we do, but there's undoubtedly times where it takes it out of you. I'm in no way, shape or form trying to call any sympathy here, but I've missed a lot of the first year of my son's life.
Do you have any other questions? Yeah, at the back there.
2 points. Firstly, is that the radio mic? Because if it is, can you take it around the people asking questions so we can hear what the question was?
Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Second point is, I totally agree with Lee in his previous thing about Fleetwood, because Fleetwood went off, like you say, 12 seasons and 12 years, whatever, and got there without a relegation. Because I think if we've got to, at some point, got to go right, we've got to consolidate here and stay in this league. Because I think if Shields got relegated at any point going forward, it'd be a disaster. If we actually went up and come straight back down anywhere, I think it would be a disaster because there's so many fans, fickle fans, the ones that's already bubbled off back to Sunderland. I think for the gate receipts, I think it would be a disaster.
I agree with what you're saying. I think obviously relegation would be a disaster for this football club. We've got to be, like I touched on before, we've got to be patient and we've got to build in phases. Otherwise, you do run the risk of taking a step too far without the right foundations in place, and then that can come back to bite you in the backside later on.
Saying relegation is a disaster for any team, really, isn't it? I mean, it's we're getting used to a certain ground and we get relegated for the consequences. We aren't totally going to hit that, but consolidation will be required.
I think it depends what happens the season before as well. I think if you look at Sunderland as an example, you could argue now that relegation last season might not be a disaster when you look at the attendances this season versus last season.
Well, there's hope there this season.
Yeah, I think people want to see winning football. People want to see attractive football. And on that note, you have our assurances that no matter how the results go, that we're gonna, whether you like it or not, we're gonna stick to our guns in the way that we play. And if we go down fighting.
Anybody else have a question?
For me, the consolidation thing is like, do we then go and say, well, right lads, we're going to consolidate for a couple of years, we're going to aim for 10th in the league.
And then stagnate and stay there.
Yeah, that's the thing. So for us, it's still got to be, right, well, we'll see where we are, but we're still going to try and win games of football. And if that takes us to another promotion, that takes us to another promotion. So there's no way we'll be setting our stall out to go, right, lads, we need to finish mid-table this season, give ourselves a couple of years and then give it a push. We'll be trying to win games of football.
I didn't mean consolidate, honestly, I didn't mean that when I said it. I'm saying people have got to accept that in my
Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
I'm saying we should consolidate. What I'm saying is, I want us to win every week. There's a lot of people seem to think we should win every week. We're not willing to accept it. It's going to happen.
As you know, everybody wants to beat us as well, you know, so, you hear everybody talk about us and it's hilarious when we see other managers talk about our budget. I don't know how they know what our budget is. It's hilarious. But yes, supposedly nobody else is spending any money. We're the only team that's spending any money. So yeah, everybody else is giving it a go. Well, a lot of teams are giving it a go to get up and get promoted and go on their own journey. Obviously, we have to go ahead and make sure it's us that get up this season.
I think it's only self-effort to really are trying to do it. You know, not really, I don't think it's all real not really.
I think if you look at the budgets of a lot of clubs at conference level, that absolutely astronomical these days. Really are. I think there's been a huge shift in the level of wages that are paid out at that kind of level of football versus what it was 10, 15 years ago. Absolutely massive. So again, we're not going to sit here and say that we're not well supported by Jeff and the club in terms of the budget, the playing budget that we have. But at the same time, we're not out on a limb as a club with versus other clubs in non-league football. It's nothing further than the truth.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add something to that, really. If we're talking about how long it's going to take us to get to the EFL, and how we're going to do it the same as Fleetwood. One thing that has not been mentioned tonight is the contribution that the academy will make, and the Futures Academy, because they're being tried out at the moment. In 2 or 3 years' time, we're going to have some really strong players here. We're going to be playing a major part in the first team setup, I would imagine. I just want to make that point.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're hoping for. The reason we set up the academy, and then obviously the Futures Academy, is exactly for that reason. As some of you have already seen in the FA Youth Cups and the like, we have some fantastically talented players here, with great attitudes, I might add as well. You know, we've got a great bunch in that 16 to 19 programme, and I know that Jamie and Wes will be recruiting really well at the Futures Academy, making sure that it's not just good footballers they're recruiting, but it's good young people. So yeah, hopefully our academy will produce a lot of players in the next few years.
Just one of the success that they have with the academy players. I mean, in contact with Davey, and I've got everybody knows what they've got. It's superbly. Just imagine what we like if our first team, we had them 5 years ago, how much they would have because with each other, still have that extra special bonding. Because anybody do, be fabulous, but that's obviously professional. So that's a step further on. All right, sure.
You're right. I mean, we myself and Graham obviously love working with the first team and the 16 19 academy, and we feel eternally grateful for the roles that we have. But if there is a frustration sometimes, is that we don't get as much time as we would like with the first team. I think myself and Graham, we really kind of try and pride ourselves on the detail that we work to. That you know going above and beyond what would ordinarily be expected at this level of football to try and eke out those extra percentages to try and turn a good set of players into a great team. And I think the only frustration we have from time to time is that it's trying to tick so many boxes that we want to tick in such a short period of time. So we might have a number of kind of coaching priorities and objectives to try and achieve with the team in any given week, and we might only have 2 hours to do it in. Now that's an incredibly tough thing to try and manage. You try your best in some ways, deal with, speak to players on an individual level, whether it be over the phone or even, when we've done this in the past, go and meet them, sometimes go drive to their place of work and catch them for half an hour on their lunch break to talk through, what they were doing in a certain minute of a game that we got. I mean, that might sound ridiculous, but that's what we do sometimes, and I think we believe that the team and the club, if you like, would get even more out of what we do if we had that extra capacity, that extra time to work with the players. But again, we've got to practice what we preach in terms of patience. There will be and there has been managers out there who would be, who would try and railroad a decision that, from a football club to go down a certain path because it was better for them personally, at the expense of the long-term, the long-term future of the football club. we would never, I can tell you now, we would never ever do that. As much as we would like to get to that position as quickly as possible, it's got to be right for the football club.
There's no date being confirmed yet, so obviously we've got Chorley in the next round. We have a few options, so the best days are going to be either Monday, Friday, or possibly even Saturday, depending on whether the league rearrange a first team fixture. So I think that would be fantastic for our young lads if the league don't put a fixture in then. We play on the Saturday and hopefully they get to play in front of even more supporters than they used to.
That was a good crowd with that. A couple of hundred boxes.
It's fantastic and it's a great experience for the lads. It's really, it benefits them, you know. You can see a few of them getting a little bit nervous. They're used to playing in front of a handful of people. So it's all good experience, you know. A lot of these lads have aspirations of being professional footballers, playing in front of whatever it might be, 5, 10,000, 15,000 people. And they've got to get used to that, and the best way of doing it is to go and show your talents in front of bigger crowds.
Question at the back, we'll try first, yeah?
Obviously there's priorities for the season, i.e. the league and everything like that, but how much value do you place on like a cup run? Unfortunately it didn't happen with the FA Cup, but like the FA Trophy, is that something which you feel would bring value to the team? Obviously it does, but it generates good momentum and everything like that. How much of a boost would a good run in the FA Trophy be?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, one of our biggest disappointments last season was getting knocked out early in the trophy against Stafford away. I think you've seen, and again, I don't want to maybe be a little bit contradictory here, but in terms of not trying to raise expectations, but you look at the clubs that have done really well in the trophy recently. I mean, Brackley won it last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Conference North side. I know maybe joining the dots a little bit, but we've beaten a few Conference North sides, you know, in the last year or so, and I think North Ferriby got to the final. Were they in? Were they 3 years ago? What were they? The Conference North side at the time. Spennymoor got all the way to the quarters, and you know, really close to getting to the semi-final, which was a fantastic achievement last year. So we can dream, without a doubt. I still stick by, you know, I remember giving a couple of interviews before the Stockport County game in the FA Cup. I still stick by the statement, you know, when I say that I believe on our day we can be a match for any side in non-league football on our day, and it's just about getting it right on the day. Probably about 7 days running. But yet, to answer your question, yeah, second priority for me, without a doubt, the trophy. I don't know if Graham agrees with it. You know, I think why not? Who knows? Who knows what can happen?
Just to follow on from that, I think obviously we saw a few posts and things about the team that we selected in the Morpeth game. We feel like these young players that we've got, we can only really see how good they actually are when you play against good players. Now, Morpeth are a very good, strong team at their level. And our lads acquitted themselves really well. A little bit nervous at the start, but we had that half-hour spell in the second half where they were as good as Morpeth's first team. Like I say, we can't judge these lads playing at academy level until you stick them in against adults and see if they've got what it takes. And I think a lot of the lads acquitted themselves exceptionally well that night. And we will keep on giving these lads opportunities because, like I say, it's the only way you can really judge them to play against adults.
Agree. I think agree. It's a way forward, I think.
Go to the back again, yeah?
In this day and age, it's hard for even football league clubs to put on the youth, the best of the youth. Apart from contractual agreements that you have, with some paper that's used anything, you know. Have you got any safeguards to keep the likes of Bridgie and Carl's fit and people like that?
Yeah, I think you're safeguarded by the contract. We'll obviously have to make decisions moving forwards as to, you know, whether we renew and extend those contracts moving forwards. But I think, you know, when you're talking about people like Dylan Morse and Calla and lads like Urson Mwanda and you know, players like that, I think they're hopefully going to be the future of this football club. And you're right, Steve. You know, I think you're alluding to the fact that we need to protect ourselves and make sure that we keep a hold of those types of players. So yeah, I totally agree. But outside of a contract, I'm not sure there's a lot else you can do to you know, me and Graham got loads of dirt on them, like, so we
That's all I wanted to hear.
I think just on top of that, you know, it's dead easy for us to say, oh, well, why don't we get them all on 5-year contracts or whatever, but let's take Calla as an example, you know. Hopefully he's back fit by Christmas or soon after. If you're offering really long-term contracts out to protect yourself, you're opening yourself up to if someone gets a bad injury, you have to pay out for 5 years for someone who can't play. So it's just a balancing act again. We would love to contract these lads for long periods, but again, we've got to balance it up with, is that decision the right thing for the football club going forward, just in case anything happens and goes wrong.
Likewise, if somebody who has a lot of money from our players, you think on higher level, what's better for the club, who we get out of this? Yeah, it's got to be.
Next question in there.
Women's games getting progressively bigger as we go through the years now. What plans do you have for the women's team? Any encouragement for people who want to join up? What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, we already have two women's teams. Darren, correct me, keep me right on this one. Yeah, but we've got
first
two
team
women's
reserves,
teams at present. We've also got a number of different kind of projects going on. So we have the Wildcats, which is, you know, an open session for girls to come along and you know, try out some structured, you know, football coaching here at the football club. We've also got plans in our Futures Academy to bring girls into the Futures Academy as of September. So you're absolutely right. You know, the women's game is moving forward. It's fast and is becoming more and more prevalent, and I think it's a great thing. And again, for me, it kind of dovetails brilliantly with our kind of core values of club. Again, connecting with the community, you know, social impact, giving, you know, having that connection with the fans. A lot of our fans, we see a lot of young girls and women in our games, which is fantastic. And yeah, so you know, it's only right that we, you know, that's evidenced in us, you know, with the provision that we provide as a football club for female players.
Anyone else with a question? Yeah, come on over here.
Can I just ask, do you think the attendances have dropped below what you expected?
Obviously, you're always hoping for a few more all the time, but not. I think if you take in context the numbers going up at Sunderland, I think it's had a direct impact on the people coming in here. I mean, our figures are still fantastic. Yeah, really strong. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, we don't know what impact Julio retiring has had on the football club as well. So there's other factors, but we're just hugely grateful to the amount of people who come in here every week and support the team. So I'm going to say we would always like more and more people to come in, but yeah, we're fantastically well supported.
I think what's absolutely vital for us moving forward, going back to Terry's, you know, first question, is that I agree with Graham. I massively believe that there has been an impact on our numbers based on the fact that instead of being 16, 17,000 at the stadium like last season, there's now 32, 33,000. Those extra 16, 17,000 people have got to come from somewhere, and a proportion of those will undoubtedly come from South Tyneside. So what we have to do as a club now, and we're always looking at trying to do, find better ways of doing it, is not trying to get Sunderland fans or Newcastle fans or any other clubs fans for that matter to come and watch us and kind of have us as their second team, to actually create new fans that will be South Shields first and foremost, and I think that's absolutely crucial, and it goes back to connecting with the community and making sure that we offer something a little bit different, and that we don't miss a trick in terms of the kind of the way that people feel a little bit let down by maybe some of the bigger clubs further up the food chain. So this is obviously a Q&A where you guys are firing questions at me and Graham. I think for this one time only, I'm maybe going to fire something back at you guys in the room, because I think, again, giving the fans some ownership over what happens at the football club, I think it's vitally important. We talked about this on Thursday with the Project EFL launch, about connecting with the sponsors and using this, the kind of the business intelligence and experience and contacts that the owner, that the sponsors have to help us move forward to the football club. Well, I would extend that to the fans. We've been asking the same question here at the football club for a long, long time now, and that is, how do we get more people here to watch South Shields Football Club? You're absolutely right, we've got a fantastic fan base, but I don't think we should use that as justification of sitting on our laurels, so to speak, and saying, well, we've got a great fan base. That's not something that we need to improve. I think we should keep asking the question, how do we make it even better? How do we make it even, get this place as full as we possibly can every week? So, as fans, do you have any ideas or any thoughts on A, why we may have lost some people in some cases, and B, any ideas how we can get more people through the door?
5-0 wins every week.
I take your point. My argument on that would be, you look at how many games we've won here at Mariners Park over the last 3 seasons. We could have really done a lot more on that front. We've got to be looking elsewhere as to how we bring more people into the football club. So is there anything that we're missing on a match day experience? Is there anything that we're missing in terms of how we promote the club? Is there anything that we're missing in terms of how we engage with the fans? I guess I'm opening up to you guys.
I think your point about Sunderland being a bit more successful is very valid, but to promote the club more, how about going out to sort of schools and Shields or South Tyneside, representatives of the club going around encouraging the kids, because it's only recently that I haven't lived in Shields all my life, I've actually seen kids in King Street on a Saturday lunchtime wearing Shields tops.
Yeah.
And I think it would be beneficial if you encourage, like, say, went around the local schools, say, give away, depends on how you feel about it, like free tickets to the kids and the families, or something like along those lines, just engage people that way,
That's a fantastic point, and you must have, your ears must have been burning earlier this afternoon, because that's exactly what we discussed in the club management meeting this afternoon. Is one of our strategies moving forwards, how we can maybe have a real strategic campaign going into schools and trying to find the next generation, if you like, of Shields fans. Can we get them? I think with many other things, the hardest thing is just to get them to walk through the front door in the first place. Once you've done that, it's then up to us a little bit to try and provide the entertainment, if you like, to then try and keep them hooked, along with other things that we do as a club on match days. But I guess you guys can be evangelists, if you like, for the football club as well. Can you go and preach the word, as they say? And the more people that are talking in good terms about what's going on, can only be a good thing. But it's a great point, and it's one that we're taking action on as we speak.
Steve, did you have a few?
Comment, yeah.
Just to say, like, obviously I've been cooked for 3 years, and it's been the best 3 years of my life. I've been cooked for football. It's like you say, it's like remember coming the first time with my grandson and like thinking that straight away it was the ball, you know. I mean, I was like say season ticket that son and I've been coming 3 years now, and obviously that's 2 years season ticket. I mean, at the end of the day you're saying like obviously 110% off the players. And I mean, I've been looking at me most of them like off the pitch many a time, and over the last few years, I mean, you could never dream of like meeting like, you know, Premier League players or like that. They're all, you know, they go out the way and they're very proud, and like that's what people forget. I think up to others, it's like what was it like a few years ago, you know, and what was that we should be enjoying it all. I mean, we'll come back with a great win now on Saturday, and everything should be, you know, it's like, they say like about a blip, it's going to happen. I mean, they say half a team difference, you know. And I think regards of like saying more fans, yeah, there's more obviously gone back to Sunderland and stuff like that. I think the package is fantastic. It just needs to be, the word needs to be put out. I mean, like you said, more schools. I mean, needs to be maybe a good thing, more the coaches going in. I mean, you know, going into schools, but also maybe like maybe for instance the season tickets. Maybe might be just a one-off where I say like somebody can go half price, friend or whatever, you know. It takes something good. I mean, I tell everybody everywhere I go, doesn't matter where I go, I tell people what. I've come to since I've been to see the son 3 times this season. My grandson's been seen to the last, and he prefers to come here. He's 11-year-old and he wants to be here. I want to be here. And I think we're very, very lucky that we've got some very dedicated managers who know what they're doing, and you know, let's just get behind them. And we've got a fantastic club here, and we just need to just say, you know, calm down a bit, say, you know, just enjoy it all, and I just wish you all good luck.
Anybody think that there's anything missing from the match day experience? Anybody think that there's anything that could be inputted extra? Go on.
Maybe like half-time things, like take a penalty against the keeper on the bench or something like that, just to bring the fans closer to the players.
Dan, I remember videos of those dizzy
I think so, yeah.
What about those big inflatable balls that people run on the pitch inside?
I'm sure Gary would be grateful of that. People run on his pitch.
No, but I totally agree with everything, the sentiment of everything you said before. In terms of we have got a great club, and everybody in this room should be immensely proud of being part of that, because everybody contributes in their own way. But you should never stop asking the question, how can we make it better? As long as we don't end up deviating, like Terry alluded to with that first question, as long as we don't end up deviating from you know, those connections, those things, you know, those core values that we talk about, we should still always ask the question, how do we make it better? So great point, by the way. Half time, yeah. Is there more stuff we can do at half time in terms of kind of entertaining the crowd? We talked about, you know, we've trialled, you know, opening up the artificial pitch for kids to have some kind of free play in there, you know, before the game. We're looking at how we can expand on that a little bit. We're trying everything, but it would be absolutely foolish again to miss an opportunity like tonight where we've got, you know, best part of 100 people in the room. You know, where there's, you know, where we can, you know, put that question out there and take some immediate feedback and ideas from the fans.
Just for the benefit of everybody on that score, what's the best way to put those ideas in, to focus them on one particular place? What is that particular place?
Give Dan a message.
Probably give...
Loves an inbox, Dan.
Send me a message.
Fair, Dan, but yeah.
that
Yeah,
right?
just send me an email or get in touch on Twitter or Facebook or by the website.
Yes, go on then. Yeah.
Can I just say, when we first started coming to the matches, because we got on the main road, just as you come in there was hoardings. There used to be hoardings up saying South Shields v Crook, South Shields v, you know, Bishop Auckland, stuff like that. And we actually got involved. We seen the hoarding one day and we thought, go on, we'll have a go down there.
One of the supporters put our ones in.
Oh, is that what it was? And I thought it was a fantastic idea because people see it and they think, oh, we'll have a look down. And I think it should be started again.
That's great.
Definitely.
Go on.
Just add that point, maybe it's like an extra promotion around the town close at match day, like say match day posters and stuff like that you can advertise in shops and stuff.
Is that used? There's one that
Yeah.
everybody's
I had a big electric board.
We used to make posters advertising the match. We used to go around the pub and put them in the pubs 2 years ago, and that used to. It's also you could do maybe like a one-off, something like say like half price. So this is stuff we should be selling like a voucher or something, you know.
I think that was the whole idea of the ticket, wasn't it? To try and send promotional stuff out, you know, the e-ticket.
Yeah, that was part of the strategy why the club had employed a ticketing system that we could start to collect information about our fans so that we could then start to more effectively market the promotions that we wanted to put out there as a club. These are all fantastic ideas, and again, it's sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. Sometimes when you're right inside the bubble, like what we are on a daily basis, you know, myself, Graham, Gary, and Dan, and you know all the staff that work here. Sometimes you miss the wood. You can't see the wood for the trees, and sometimes you need people that have just been outside of that environment to kind of give you some new, fresh ideas. And so yeah, you know, if anybody goes away from here tonight and thinks, well, actually that might help, then get in touch with Dan or anybody at the football club.
You've got a database on the e-ticketing. Why don't you send out some survey monkeys to all the people you've actually got on your database? Just asking some basic questions.
Darren, do you want to?
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, it's early days with the system, and that's something which we're looking at doing now. We're working with the company who provide the system to put that extra platform in to be able to do that. So that is actually work in progress that we've got at the minute. It is important to us that we understand our crowd. And, you know, season ticket holders, yes, we've got the data. People who bought tickets in advance of games, we get the data. FA Cup games are a prime example, so we're starting to build up that picture and demographic now. And that's something which we are looking at and hope to implement pretty soon, is to get stuff out to fans about promotions and offers and vouchers and things like that, you know. So it is something which we're looking at now in great detail.
And just say something.
Go on, yeah.
To attract the older fan, have you ever thought about dropping the concessionary prices? Because we've been to some away.
Your ears must be for this afternoon as well.
Some of the games that we've been away to where the concession is 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, 65. And I think you would attract a lot more the older people if you drop the prices for them. Bearing in mind I'm nearly 60.
Well, to be fair to Gary Crutwell, Gary brought that to the agenda in today's meeting, and I think it's I don't want to say anything I'm not supposed to say, but I think it was universally agreed on in today's meeting that we should revisit that and look at bringing. I'm not going to get in trouble for that, Gary, am I? Again, so just to kind of to give you an idea, it's not always as simple as that. So it's a great idea, and you're right. It's something that we've all agreed on, but then the catch is, well, what about the people who paid their season ticket already, and how do you then rate it? So we're looking at that as well. You know, do we offer the people who've already bought their season tickets a voucher for every game where they can spend the equivalent, you know, on food and drink? I don't know, you know, things like that. But with all these things, there's always so many different aspects that you have to consider, and it's not just as easy sometimes as going, right, that's an idea, we can do it, we can run with it straight away. But it's a great point. It's a great point.
What about giving all the season ticket holders a free ticket to bring someone with them? I'm not going to cost you now.
There's an idea. Well done. Thank you.
All right. So just give them a ticket, they'll bring someone with them. That person might get to, you know,
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. Well, in my opinion, I can't speak on behalf of the club. In my own, just a disclaimer there, in my own personal opinion, that's a great idea.
Anybody else? Yeah, go on then.
I think, like, for getting more people through the door, it's like, not starting this season, but maybe next season. So I know that Sunderland, I don't know about Newcastle, I'm some fan, but going to the summer matches, you can get like under 22 tickets, which are cheaper than some other tickets you get. Also for like the over 60s. Like maybe putting a cheaper price on them, or maybe discount price for them next.
Youths and students and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, well, no, because there's students, like you can put that through concessions, but because that's what my season tickets do. But maybe some use or apprenticeships or
yeah, it's a valid point. I'll just play devil's advocate though. You've always got to try and consider the balance in terms of keeping it simple and not making it too complicated. Otherwise, you then get people who are turned off because the system's too complicated, or do you know what I mean? So even just for the people who operate the turnstiles or whatever, you know, if it's like if there's 8 different options as to what somebody is in terms of a ticket, you know, that can have its own problems as well. But I take your point absolutely.
Anybody else have a question? Anybody else? Going once? Go on then.
Going back to trying to attract fans to the club, we'd be linked to, if we get promoted this season, then next season hopefully would bring in more fans because we're playing against better and known opposition. And would you see that as being like I don't know how to put it right, like a caveat or like a carrot to dangle amongst the players to say if you get promoted you can play license. See, we play Stockport in the FA Cup, right? See, if you get promoted you can be playing teams like this week in, week out. Do you use that as a
yeah, so it's already been mentioned. You know, some fantastic football clubs at the next level up. The Go Conference North, there's some huge clubs, and a lot more local clubs to here as well. A little bit less travelling. So yeah, it is kind of our goal this season to get promoted. Now, we realise it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, but we're going to be giving it our best shot. But if we do manage to achieve that goal, we think that next season's attendances could go up significantly because of the clubs that we're playing against.
To bring in their fans, they'll bring a lot more as well, won't they? So
that's why they gave it down this season slightly, because the team who've been playing have been bringing as many fans last season.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you step back 2 years, I would argue Northern clubs bring much more fans than what we've experienced in the last 2 seasons. In that respect, it's almost a little bit like, because of where we are geographically, it's almost, we're in, and well put to start a term on it, almost in like a footballing wilderness a little bit. It's like this phase of the Evo-Stik, and I've got massive respect for the level, but I'm just talking about because of where we are geographically, and we're the only kind of truly northeast team in this division, and were last year as well, that you have got no support from other clubs in terms of them bringing money into your club through their fan base. But hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, whether it's next season or you know, hopefully in the near future, if we can take that next step to Conference North, that that should hopefully all change, and it's not just more fans that will hopefully attract, it's significant levels of fans from not just the likes of your Blythes, your Yorks, your Darlingtons, your Spennymoors, but also your Stockport counties and your Kidderminster Harriers, you know, clubs that have got strong fan base. Chester.
And that push against up towards the 2,000 once you get that. If you get that into the opposition.
Is the ground facilities good enough for moving?
Yes, there's nothing that needs to.
Because I know as you move up into different leagues, you've got standards.
It's already
with the seating capacity and things like that.
It already qualifies for conference North football. Yeah.
Go on then at the back, Steve.
You've got to remember 2-3 years ago, every game we played was a dog over away. And when people used to come here, used to bring crowds just to look at Thomas Hughes. It doesn't work that way in this league. So that's a different story.
Yes?
Is there any plans to sell merchandise away from the club in the town or anything like that, or school or community centre?
Harry, any plans? Not at the minute. Again, that's something we could possibly mention in the next meeting. Again, I think it'd be a really good idea to get some sort of stall or something like that at some point in some merchandise in the town.
Bob's mobile van, how about that? Hear the ice cream man music as you go around the town. Oh, Bob's coming! Yeah, once he's got me take the money as well. I know I owe you 2 quid for it.
Oh yeah, very nice as well. Well done. Yes, go on then, mate.
That was half tongue in cheek, the Bob's mobile van, but if he goes in the town centre, peddling the wares and the ticket awareness and stuff, you know, it could be a good thing to schools through the week, not necessarily Bob, because obviously it's an awful lot, but someone else, you know, the van that also raising awareness for the games, also selling the stuff. It's not a bad idea.
Maybe should be on a bike or something, you know.
Is that you volunteering yourself, is that? Go on then, the question at the bottom.
Just on the subject of merchandising and ticketing, would it cost effective way not being to have it installed at Shields Market on a Saturday at home games, for example?
Would people not think it was knockoff? Just wondering. Does anybody else have any questions? I think we'll do a couple more questions before we.
Quite a few games into the season now. Who do you see as like your main competition within the league, or which teams have come impressed you that you've played against?
Well, Warren impressed us. Obviously, we were limited in our options of who we could select in that game, but I thought they had some decent players, well organised. Obviously, Scarborough up near the top of the league. You've got the likes of Gainsborough, who we've heard good reports about. Baseford getting some good results as well. So yeah, there's a few. I mean, as we've seen already in the first few weeks of the season, I think anybody can beat anybody on the day. So yeah, we've obviously had 4 poor results, but I think that all clubs have kind of slipped up here and there. And I think anybody who shows any sort of consistency in this league is going to make strides up the league.
For a couple more questions, is anybody anything that they'd like to ask? Yes, Connor.
Just with the emphasis you're putting on the youth lads and the academy lads come through, does it worry you that you're losing the likes of like Julio and Patter and then again and that you've got the experience of playing at high level and that you're bringing boys through like just locally or sports or like
No, without doubt. I mean, I agree with you. I think experiences that a lot of our players have had before they come to this football club has been invaluable to us as a football club. And I think like with anything, it's about getting the blend right, getting that balance right between experience and youthful endeavour, shall we say. I mean, we look at Urson one day. Urson, again, you don't find many more honest people than Urson. He'll be the first person to stick his hand up and say, you know, that was a big mistake, and I need to learn from that. But we can handle that. We can 100% handle that and live with that because of what else he brings to the table. I think Urson's the type of player that we really needed to bring to the football club. I mean, I've not seen many players who can win the ball back as well and as often as what he can, and the athleticism that he brings to the side. And yes, he's making mistakes. He's probably given the ball away a little bit too much, more than what he would like and what we would like as well. But we know one thing for sure with Urson, because of his mentality and mindset, that he will strive to get better, and he will get better because he's as determined as they come. And those, we talked about core values earlier, within the context of us connecting with the community. I think we have a really distinct set of core values that we feel we've embedded within the playing side of the club as well. Throughout the first team and throughout the 16 and 19 academy, and I know Jamie and Wes are going to follow that through with the Futures Academy as well. And we centre so much of our emphasis around personality, in possession, out of possession. We talk about bravery, and we talk about discipline and honesty and work ethic. And I think you're right. Whether the older players, shall I say, such as the likes of your Matty Pattersons and Julio Arquez and Carl Finnegans, and the list goes on with John and Craig and Phil Turnbull's come in and done exceptionally well. We love working with these players because they mirror the core values that we want to promote at this football club, and I think that's why above all else, that's why we'll do well.
Anybody else have a question? That's us then, yeah? Everybody happy with that, yeah? Yeah. Good. Do we all want to see this happen again, yeah? Yes. Fantastic. We all feel positive about this? Yes. So ladies and gents, just on behalf of you all, I want to thank Lee and Graham for giving up their time. On that note, I'll see you at the next one. Big thanks to Lee and Graham again. Get yourselves another drink at the bar. Go towards the club.